Terry, would you come up a second, Terry? Bring the water with you 1 second. Yeah. This is an evening of obviously tremendous honor. No, don't go. But it's an evening also of revelation and also of something very interesting. You're the first audience to know this. We discovered this the other day. Terry and I were separated at birth, and it was just recently found in the state news. It's like DeVito and Schwarzenegger right here. We go way back.
Which one am I?
Great introduction. Attaboy. It is truly an honor, and especially with this induction class, all of you men and women. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. Never again will I follow Jim Bibbs speaking again. There's no way to match his priceless wit, his charm, and Coach, it's an honor to be with you tonight. Thank you very much for your mentioning. Let me briefly give a few thank yous to my wife, Candace. We have a lot of kids, but I won't go any farther than that. She's simply the wind beneath my wings, and we'll stop it right there. My mother-in-law, Marilyn Smythe, is with us tonight. My dear friends, Jim and Cassie Hias, my roommate at Michigan State, who's gone on to be a great legal mind in this country, and Tim and Sandy Bogarakis, another roommate of mine. Of course, Tim played 2 sports here at Michigan State. And an example, both couples and both guys, an example of what happens when you come to Michigan State, especially for a kid that's 2,000 miles away and doesn't really know anybody. And of course, usually universities like this are connected with a lot of local families and men and women have played against each other and know each other, but I knew no one. But within that first week of being at Case Hall, I met Jim for sure, and then the next year met Tim, and friendships that will last forever, simply because there's a common denominator here. The denominator is that when you come here to receive an education, but you also receive a social education, and for those of us who are athletes, an education into how to go from being great where we came from as high school players to being average at the entry level, to finding out how good we can be when we are taught how to be good citizens and good persons and good athletes, how to do it, how to be good sportsmen, and how to take that with you. It's a university that teaches loyalty, it teaches fellowship, it teaches, remember the 6 degrees of separation, where there are truly at least that many, if not more, at Michigan State. Because through the years, the Lord knows I've received hundreds of gift baskets from GMs at hotels who graduated from the Michigan State Hotel and Restaurant Management School. It's going to Pittsburgh and sitting on the bench with Mr. Perlis and talking about Michigan State University when 2 of us are in 2 different worlds, but the common denominator is this great university. It's being in a World Series game against the A's and being at first base with a guy by the name of Herb Washington leading off, and a fellow by the name of Mike Marshall, a professor, not a professor, but a professor, and the trilogy of 3 Michigan State guys at a crucial moment of a World Series. And for 2 of us, it turned out pretty well, because I was talking to Herb about the pretzel bell or something, and Marshall threw it over, and we picked him off for a second. And then one day, getting off a bus outside of Wrigley Field, and one of the last guys off, and walking through a crowded group of people and seeing this very attractive blonde-haired woman who happens to start a conversation with me out of nowhere, and obviously very likable, Doris Day-looking woman, and talking to how she's such a great fan, but she loves the Dodgers so far. I thought, isn't this woman charming? Well, it just happened to be Marilyn Smythe, who years later I would marry her daughter. Degrees of separation at Michigan State University, who, by the way, is a graduate of Michigan State University and whose husband played football here at Michigan State University. But once you realize that, you realize that, that when we leave this school, and I mentioned before the press conference, I came here as a flat-top kid, and I saw your picture too, Mr. Budd, before, a nice flat top. We leave with different kinds of hair as time goes on. I ended up with a parted hair, and you've gone the curly, the mohawk, yeah, that way. But you take an education with you. You're ready for the world. You realize that what you've been given is a great foundation, and from that point on, you take that and you make the best out of your life. And if you're very, very fortunate, you realize that this is where you came from. This is your second home. This is where you can always come back to. And tonight is truly much more than an induction, it's a homecoming. And for those of us here, we would all like to thank you and this university for allowing us to come home again. Thank you.